Well, hello. First of all, thanks for a good day and thanks to come for the interview with us.
My pleasure.
I would like you to start by telling us who you are and what exactly is your job with the British Columbia government.
Sure. So my name is David Hume. I'm the Executive Director for Citizen Engagement in the Ministry of Citizen Services and Open Government. The focus of my team is really around public engagement and how ministries across government can use new tools of public engagement, from face-to-face techniques to online techniques to digital techniques, to really involve people in the processes of improving services or policies or those kinds of things.
Thank you very much. At the moment, where is British Columbia government in the implementation of its open government strategy? Also, with regards to your achievement in government transparency, what are your future orientations?
I think we're well through the first couple cycles of implementation. We've had I think 2 rounds of what we call transformation planning, which is where ministries are required to look at the open government agenda and then plan to respond to that. We've been through 2 cycles of that now, so we're getting better and better. We've had more content. We've had a 20% increase in the number of data sets that have been available since our launch. I think there's more coming. We're getting much more aligned as an organization to be able to do more in that space and in other things. For example, in the public dialogue space, we've got ongoing conversations around healthcare, around education, around environmental assessments, around justice reform, around economic development. Like this is now becoming kind of a fundamental tool and just a way of doing business within the BC Public Service, and that's happened within the last 18 months. So I think that it's been really kicked off in the last 18 months. So I think we're learning a lot from that. That it's not just about the ideas and possibilities, but also managing teams, job descriptions. Do you know what I mean? All these kinds of fundamental atomic kind of things that are really important to allowing us to implement. I think as far as our future orientations are concerned, I think we just want to get better at what we're trying to do. I think we're also going to be having to do more to measure how well we're doing, what our results are, and trying to reflect on lessons learned and bring those back so that the next cycle, I think we can identify more crisply about where it is that we need to go next on this file.
How do you proceed to establish the organizational culture change in the public administration necessary to improve collaboration, breaking the barriers, and reduce the gap between citizen and government? We all know that government tends to be a big monolithic block, so how did you implement your cultural change?
One of the things that I didn't talk about in my presentation today was we had before we launched our open government strategy, we had an HR strategy in government, which was really about talking about the different values of the public service, talking about the different ways that we could and should be working in supporting people in their growth and as employees. And we've really in communication as well. So we have a government intranet, a government-wide intranet, where we're able to post information about things. We've been running events. My team had for a period of time a thing called the Dragons. We called it the Dragons Den, where public servants brought new ideas about public engagement forward, and we had a collaborative process where they were developing business cases together and presenting that to a mock executive. So we try and do things that are event-based. We try to do things that allow people to come and meet one another. We try and share as much information as we can, and we try and communicate as much as we can to try and get these ideas out in front of people and celebrate the successes of the people that are taking them forward.
Considering what you just told us, what were the main challenges encountered, and is the citizen participation level high, or do you have to continually stimulate their contribution?
There's always challenges really, if you're doing a really deep change in the way that you do business, there's going to be a lot of conversation. There has to be a lot of conversation about what the change is, why it matters, what's important about it, what the tools are, all of those different things. And so if there's anything that's challenging, it's the pace at which you need to go and the ways that you can move ahead in some spaces and with some collaborators versus how quickly you can move with others. So it's always an unevenness that you encounter, but it's a good and healthy one because there needs to be a conversation between the people who are trying to lead the change and the people that are trying to run the business. Do you know what I mean? Which is a really, has established ways of doing things that have worked for a while. So introducing innovations that way it's always a hard part to make those conversations happen and create the alignment between different groups to be able to, do the things that we're trying to accomplish. As far as maintaining levels of citizen participation, yeah, that's one we always have to try and do. It's one of the things that we're trying to solve with the GovTogether BC project, which is our citizen engagement portal, a directory really of all the different public engagement opportunities in the BC government. And we want people to be able to find things that they're interested in, and they, not everybody is the same, and not everybody is going to be interested in the same issues all the time. So trying to find creative ways for people to be able to find that information is a really important job, and something we need to do more to be able to help it grow. It's one a friend of mine calls this whole thing as we need to improve people's democratic fitness, and so getting used to the idea that this is a real thing that we can do, and that we can do it on a consistent basis, on a continuous basis, that it's a service that can be satisfying. You know what I mean? All those things have to start to come in place, and that's the big work ahead of us, I think, is to try and make that happen.
And what did you give the government of the Transparency and Public Participation Initiative to a department instead of an organism or an agency? And what are the pros of such way of doing things?
Well, I mean, we're a central agency, the Ministry of Citizen Services and Open Government, so it would be like a Treasury Board or a Privy Council office at the federal government, federal level. So we're really kind of the part of government that focuses on administration, and good government. Because we have the ability to, because we provide a secretariat service to a committee of deputy ministers. It was that's the responsibility for it is really shared all the way across the system. That my deputy minister has the lead on the file. So I think that was a good, using a governance approach rather than an organizational approach was made a really, really big difference for us. Because if we tried to sort of pick this up and drive and deliver everything rather than try get decisions that are across the system and then try and create the platforms that they'll be able to support all the other ministries to execute against those decisions, I think we'd be in real trouble. Like, it would be impossible for us to, we don't hold all the data, we don't hold all the information, we don't have all the issues for public involvement. I often say to people about my job is, I am all process, no substance. You know what I mean? And so when you're in the business of tools, that you have to be careful, because otherwise, you may wind up with a vessel that nobody really wants to use. You're a solution in search of a problem. The ability to work with ministries on a collaborative basis using a governance approach, I think, has been fundamental to the things that we've been able to drive ahead.
Previously, we talked about the orientation. You talked about the willingness of the government to find measures, how to measure your success, and we were wondering, is your government presently able to measure the benefits of the implementation since 2009? Also, based on your experience, what would be the main advantage for Quebec government to become an open government, and what message would you tell the management of our public administration to convince them of the potential of such an initiative?
Yeah, we are trying to measure our success, and the measures that we've tried to create are really the thing we say about, at least what I say to my team about performance measurement. It's about the performance, not the measurement. So it's really dependent on a vision about trying to create some organizational maturity around the things that we're say we want to accomplish, because it's really hard to get to the final outcome space of real benefits to citizens in a really fundamental way unless you go through years of shifting management structures and shifting priorities and building tools and comfort and working through those initial phases of innovation. I think we've had some spots of really good success on the data front. I think the creation of the Open Data Society, Open Data BC Society, is a really great signal that British Columbians want to respond to the things that we put out there. I think some of the apps that have been created out of that group and across the country are also a really good signal about the possibilities. One quick example, School Zone app, which brought data together from our main insurer about crashes with school locations, which came from the province of BC, and then road routes, and showed the safest ways to get to school, for kids and for parents. I think that's a really good thing that we need to see more of. And I think and I think the results around the usability of our web presence and the citizen focused approach that we've taken of really researching people with people in context, talking to them, engaging them about those things has seen 35% improvement in usability. Like that's really good, right? As for what I'd say to the management in Quebec, I'd say I'd say what I'd say to we've been saying to the management in British Columbia as well is we're in a time where our workforce is going to be shrinking. The financial position of government is going to be more and more limited. Openness isn't just a thing that you do for necessarily that you do only for normative reasons, for the reasons that it's the moral and right and just thing to do, though it is those things. It's also a strategy. It's also a strategy to take on challenges like a shrinking workforce and fiscal restraint, because what it enables is collaboration. And when you can enable collaboration, that means you can draw on the resources of others to bring to bear on the problems that our organizations face and the costs that we face. So it's something that I think we have to. It's not easily done because governments are designed to do kind of design, deliver, rinse and repeat. Do you know what I mean? Like to do the whole thing. But learning to work with networks and using these tools to be able to support how we work with networks is going to be really critical to how we manage in the future. It's just going to be fundamental to public administration.
And talking about the measure and everything, I was wondering, is there any plan to have a study on the return on investment for the money you spend on open data and data BC?
There's we've been talking about that. I don't know that we don't have plans right now, but it's certainly one of those questions that we bat around the office a lot. And I know I've seen others from Europe and the UK where they're talking about billions in potential value coming. Yeah. So I think for us we've seen. I would say we could probably quantify a lot, particularly around the natural resource sector, because we're sharing data around who owns land and and where land claims are and where